All right, welcome to the Lockdown Podcast. We're here to talk more Raw, more SmackDown, definitely more Bash in Berlin. So for those of you who don't watch this show, that's kind of the shtick. Is we basically run Raw, SmackDown, lots of pipe dreams, lots of rabbit trails. So be prepared because we do those because that's the shtick, man. So so we'll kind of touch on Raw. So pretty much it kind of Raw has been pretty much going the same as it seems to have always been going. Basically the show started off, with the whole Judgment Day, flapping their gums. Obviously Damien and Rhea got the last laugh that night. Um so before we get to the Berlin thing, so basically the Drew McIntyre CM Punk saga continues to roll on. Um, we basically developed ourselves into a strap match for Bash in Berlin. Um, we have a two triple threat matches for basically who's gonna face Braun Breaker, which seems like a really long way to build the number one contenders versus being just like one triple threat. Um, and so obviously Jey Uso wins that. Um, Pete Dunne wins later, so now we have Pete Dunne and Jey Uso basically moving along in the tournament. Really, and then so now we have Uncle Howdy versus Chad Gable, which I thought honestly was a good match. It wasn't as one-sided as we've seen before, like with a Bray Wyatt fight. Um, but obviously we're continually getting these mini homages to Bray Wyatt, which I think honestly, it's cool because if you've been around wrestling as long as most of us have been, you understand the importance that Bray Wyatt was on the wrestling industry, not even just Raw or SmackDown, not just WWE, not just it was literally like global. And so you've seen just soccer teams playing music or like that's when you've made a good impact on the business or just as a person when you have everybody cares. Okay, so now I'll go to SmackDown. So not Drew McIntyre. LA Knight issues an open challenge, as we pretty much figured was gonna go. No surprise, Ludwig Kaiser comes out and with his tights that I swear are like a size too small. And obviously, LA Knight obviously beats him. No harm, no foul. So you have this continued rivalry between Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. Um, I think Carmelo Hayes's finisher is garbage. He barely makes contact. It's like a John Cena knockoff. But so now we have a two wins to two wins in that whole rivalry. I don't know what the third. I don't know what the um, what's the term? Um, Basically the rubber match. So I don't know what that's going to entail. I really just think it's kind of a useless rivalry, but gotta have time filler. So now you have Nia Jax in a street fight, which honestly, that one definitely had a ton of twists and turns. You had um Tiffany Stratton potentially kind of come out and try to break up that and probably cash in, but obviously that didn't happen because when you looked at Nia Jax, you're like, "Yep, I'm not going to do this." So that's pretty much the gist of that. So we will now that we've covered the bases, the pretty plumb basic, let's get to Bash in Berlin. So I know Frederick, you watched highlights. Tim, did you watch the whole thing?
Yes.
So
I watched it. I didn't watch the whole thing when it was live. I watched it about like 1 or 2 in the morning.
yeah, because I watched that literally at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. But I mean, so like thoughts. I mean, like from a storyline perspective and just like quality of matches, like how do you guys think that Bash in Berlin went?
I'm gonna give it my opinion. I'm gonna give it a B. But it wasn't that bad of a pay-per-view. Or PLE, whatever you want to call
Yeah,
it.
they this
Some of the matches were great. The Dominic and Mysterio, the Dominic one was pretty good. My opinion, I think the top match that probably would take the cake was Gunter and Randy Orton. I think that match was probably the top best one. I'm gonna give that match an A because that match was fucking on fire. I love how Randy Orton was interacting with the fans, doing the whole wave when they were doing it.
The problem is though is that he was taking too much time to enjoy the moment versus doing what he should be, and that's winning a 15th championship. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I honestly think that the slow pace of the first match with Cody and Kevin was pretty lackluster. I think the overall match honestly seemed very like Cody Rhodes' regular match, Kevin Owens, like I don't want to win by, you know, something happening or whatever else, with the whole knee situation with Cody. I mean, for being a first match, it seemed a little slow paced. Um, it just took a while to get started. Really, never hit a pinnacle moment for me where I was like, "Oh my gosh, what's gonna happen?" Um, it was just more Kevin Owens being cautious against him and trying to win clean, as they put, and just, I mean, that match maybe B minus. I mean, it was kind of predictable because obviously we know Cody's not really losing that title anytime soon, even though his reign and his whole shtick is kind of boring and dry and just predictably unentertaining. I mean, the fans love him, and that's fine, and that's the only reason why he's holding that belt. If you really think about it. So, Bianca and Jade, you know, beating the Unholy Union with Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Obviously, that was predictable because, like we've talked about in the past, like, okay, yeah, they won because they were in their home country and now they're losing in essentially their home country, essentially, like anywhere, And so it was kind of a slight full circle moment, as far as like the women's tag division. Um, the strap match for me was probably the highlight of mine just because it was so gruesome. It got to the point where they didn't even care about the strap like stipulation. It was just like tables and chairs and like it was more like a strap match, mixed with a little bit of a, no
Hardcore.
disqualification kind of match. And honestly, that I think that match did it for me. Now the end was kind of lackluster because it didn't seem like CM Punk put up a exuberant amount of offense, and he still managed to hit, Drew McIntyre with a GTS. I thought this was very one-sided into having CM Punk win because we needed that one win apiece kind of storyline because their third one obviously is going to end at Bad Blood inside of Hell in a Cell. That's pretty much been predicted for well over a couple weeks now. So we already know that that's the rubber match. And that's not till like November. So like it's really weird that we've pretty much already gotten that match in the books.
Yeah, give it to me so they can finally be done and we can move on to Seth Rollins and CM Punk. I think there'll be definitely an order, and hopefully we get to CM Punk at some particular point in the future, hopefully near future.
Okay.
So we can CM Punk can hang out with John Cena. They can both sip drinks on the beach somewhere talking about the heyday of professional wrestling.
Like just let 2025 just be done. Let's get
say,
to 2026
Bad Blood's not to October 5th.
or October. So like either way, I mean, the match is already in the books. I mean, because they're basically bringing back Bad Blood just because the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view was stupid. You literally have sometimes
It-
where there'd be one Hell in a Cell match.
It better not be fucking red. It better be the old school regular
Nope.
fucking Hell in a Cell.
You know what? Hey, let's make a small wager.
All right.
If it's red, like, man, I don't know. What's the wager? Shit, like, okay, how about
You're the
hold on.
one-
Me,
you're
hold
the
on,
one-
hold on. Since Tim has to wear a Drew McIntyre shirt already, we've already established that
So
one.
okay, all right. Let's come to some finality with this whole Drew McIntyre CM Punk, and then we'll get on the Hell in a Cell wager. All right. All right. So let's say that we do have this rubber match between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. This is what I'm going to offer for you, Tim. If CM Punk wins, no T-shirt, no wearing on an episode.
Oh, you want me to go shirtless?
You know what? No,
Okay,
we
I
don't.
could do that. I could do
No.
that.
You can do that.
You could put a censor
You-
sign right across my nipples.
You know what?
I could put
well,
pasties on
Yeah, well, pasties aren't bad.
with the little spinners.
And you thought
All
the
right.
Hell in a Cell talk was a bad topic. You just brought up Tim being shirtless now.
I know. I mean,
Tim
Yeah,
titties,
we're-
man.
yeah.
Now we're gonna have that episode with Tim titties.
You know what? This
You know
one's
what? Let's
gonna
have an
to be
episode with none of
edited.
us wear t-shirts.
You know what? Let's get back on top. All right, let's get back on topic. Okay, double or nothing. Double or nothing, Tim. Here's how we go. This is how we'll do it. If CM Punk wins, you don't have to wear a Drew McIntyre shirt.
Okay.
All right. If Drew McIntyre wins, you have to wear a Drew McIntyre shirt. And one social media post proclaiming your undying loyalty to Drew McIntyre over CM Punk.
You know, we could do a cheaper route and just have him have a white t-shirt that says "I love Drew McIntyre." You know, your girlfriend has amazing skills, so like we just need a white shirt that just says "I love Drew McIntyre." That's the cheaper route.
That's that.
Then it
that
costs us no money, but
Yes.
still gets us
A
absolute
dollar,
euphoria.
a dollar shirt, dollar
Exactly.
shirt.
You
Dollar
know
shirt.
what? This is in the books, okay? You know what? Screw buying things, okay? If he doesn't even want to wear the shirt, it's pointless to buy it. So
No,
let's
no,
just get a.
I actually will wear a
You
Drew
know,
McIntyre
I mean,
shirt.
I mean,
actually I don't.
Tim
no
does
offense,
have a photo with Drew McIntyre.
I
So
do
I
like.
mean,
I do like Drew.
hold up. What if this? Because technically, they come to the Grand Rapids in November. He needs to get a white shirt that says "I love Drew McIntyre" with a picture of Drew McIntyre,
Oh my God.
and put that shit on X, bro, and
Oh,
tag Drew
God.
McIntyre and WWE.
Or like
That is
nothing.
that is
or
beyond the social media post. Okay.
I could post that on Instagram. I don't have Twitter. I don't. do
Oh,
All right,
well,
okay.
you give me the picture, I'll post it.
Okay.
I got you. I got you. See, Frederick, you
I'm not
started
a
this,
Twitter guy.
okay?
all right.
You. I mean, I
right.
one-upped it, but oh man.
Oh,
See, this is the freaking rabbit trails of this freaking podcast, okay?
yes, yep.
Like,
I'm
we
just-
can't be serious for 5 freaking minutes.
No, and it's off the rails, and it has to be edited. Goodness.
No,
So
there's
so-
no editing.
so-
I'm just gonna straight post this.
Oh my gosh.
Well, yeah, this
Yeah.
is gonna happen.
Yeah.
I
someone's
mean,
gonna say
I'll still
something.
pretend to edit it, but like I won't.
Oh, someone's gonna
So,
say something.
anyways,
So okay.
so
So,
let's
now
move,
hell.
let's move
to
past
Hell
Drew
in a Cell.
McIntyre CM Punk nonsense.
All right.
So Damian Priest
we
and
go.
Rhea Ripley versus Dirty Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. So I loved this. I honestly I absolutely love Damian Priest. I loved this guy before Judgment Day. I think Judgment Day gave him a pedestal, put him up, put him over, and now he's with no Judgment Day, and he's still a freaking powerhouse. So I thought
Always
freaking
has
the
been.
whole freaking Judgment Day got their come ups, and they got their receipts, and I absolutely freaking love it. And I love that they both had Terror Twins on their ring gear. I thought that was cool. I don't know if they'll technically ever announce them as the Terror Twins as far as the entrance, but I don't care. I think the Terror Twins is a bomb ass name. They are just two badass athletes, and no one in Judgment Day can hang with Rhea or Damien. Not a single one. Especially JD. Actually, I'll take R-Truth. R-Truth has a shot.
Yeah, R-Truth definitely has a shot.
Like, yeah, I want to see Spinneroonie like circa like late 1990s R-Truth, who still looks the same. I don't know what
He
his
does.
trick is to being the fountain of youth, but R-Truth is a G.
Yep.
But
So
so like, what do you guys? So now that essentially Damien and Rhea have basically, cleaned house with, Dominic Mysterio and Liv Morgan. Obviously, this whole synopsis is never even over. It's just going to keep going and going and going until Rhea basically takes out Liv, gets her title back. And then without titles, Judgment Day is garbage. So, because you essentially still have, if anybody remembers, but like the Jey Uso and Sami Zayn still have their rights to a title match.
when it comes to that match, that I think it was a fun match. It was everyone's, should be on an even playing field. Like you said, Terror Twins got the win. Yeah, I think it's time for those two factions to kind of move on and do some other things. But I get the feeling that we're gonna now get a program with Damien and Finn. And then
I mean,
with
the thing
Jay
is-
and Sammy both, waiting in the wings for
I
tag
mean,
team shots. I don't see it being with them. I
I
don't see the
still
tag team
don't.
titles being with Judgment Day very long.
I still don't see why there's anything left for Damien and Finn. Damien screwed Finn over, Finn screwed Damien, now we're even. Obviously they're gonna, not everybody really knows the whole story of that. This is back when, Damien was, senior Money in the Bank, that whole thing. And so I feel like the score is one apiece now, and I feel like there's just gonna be a match just to kind of squash the whole thing. I just don't know, like, Judgment Day stuff on Monday nights. Like, what is the end game to all of the Judgment Day nonsense? Like, are we gonna keep having this repetitive week in and week out? We're the Judgment Day, we run things. No, you don't. You run from things. So
That's pretty much
like,
true.
Rhea's getting her title back, and that is a virtual certainty. And that they're going to lose the tag titles because the Judgment Day has wronged everybody. So realistically, like, I think what would be a cool tag match, as far as if it was JD and Finn versus Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, lumberjack match. A lumberjack tag match where pretty much everybody that hates the Judgment Day is around the ring. Like, that would be a cool ass idea, just because then the outside people would just kick the crap out of them, and everybody would get their pound of flesh.
Yeah, I am.
Because that's the
Yeah, let's
Judgment
do
Day
it.
for you. And I think that they're starting, like, with Rhea and Damien basically excommunicated and forming their own thing. Like, I think there's less hatred on them, even though they were with the Judgment Day during the bulk of the mess. I think there's less heat on them now. And now it's like, well, we hate Judgment Day, but they're not in Judgment Day. So we really don't have, like, there's not as much beef. And I feel like it's
Right.
kind of cool, honestly. Like, they just kind of like cut that crap out. Like, okay, well, they're gone. We still hate Judgment Day, though. Let's go get them.
Yeah.
So
There's always going
now-
to be someone to make a name for themselves on someone who's hot. and Judgment Day isn't really that hot, but they're acting like it is. But Damien is still pretty hot, former world heavyweight champion. He's running around with Rhea Ripley, Terror Twins. There's going to be some people that are going to, try to test their might against, those two. But I don't, outside of Balor versus Priest, I don't see any other program right now for Damien or for Balor to really get, a good story out of. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents.
So, okay, so then, well, let's just move to the last but not least. But Gunther and Randy Orton. Now, I honestly would. I mean, I wouldn't give it a solid A. I'd say like A minus B plus. I think with the amount of RKOs and chops and all that stuff, we were like Randy wasn't gonna win, and like I know that WWE has been doing this thing where we seem to have less time as a champion before we move it to the next person, versus when Roman had it for 3 years. So like we're definitely just based on Damien's run, right? I mean, he barely had it. Which sucks because I like Damien and I think Damien would have been a great champ, but like that doesn't fit the story, right? And so now with Gunther being champion, I don't think he's not going to get to even his IC title amount of run, but I've heard whispers that Brock is back. Now, if Brock is back, I want that match. I want the match everyone wants. We want Brock versus Gunther. And that would be insane.
But what Brock Lesnar are we going to get? Are we going to get a full-time short run Brock Lesnar, or are we going to get like, hey, this month you're only here for one date, then we'll see you in 90 days and we'll see you at another date? What I really want is a very focused Brock Lesnar with a set schedule that we can count on. Quite possibly with an advocate of some sort or a mouthpiece of some sort that we can deal with. And I would like a very good build to that match, in which it is Gunther going up against the measuring stick of Brock Lesnar. If you look at any champion, they've all had a match with Brock Lesnar. So give it to me. Yeah. But it's got to make sense. It just can't be like, surprise, there's Brock. It's got to make sense.
Yeah, but we all know he's going to have that one-time appearance once a month bull crap like he does. Because that's in his contract.
I don't think I think we'll get the match and Gunther will win to continue to put over Gunther. And I think that will be like the one-off. If he does, and I've heard whispers, but and I've kind of read some things, but I don't see a story where Brock stays for longer than a couple months. He'll build to a match, have the match, and then gone. The real thing that I'm really trying to wrap my head around is like, who is Roman gonna come back with? Because we have Sammy and Jay, Jimmy, we have Jacob and returns. There's so many things that would make sense, but right now we're still in we don't know. And it's the greatest unknown right now in WWE is who is actually joining Roman Reigns. Because we can pontificate and we can guess and we can watch 1,000 different, YouTubers and their rumors and everything else. But at the end of the day, we're going to get something and it's going to be awesome. It's going to be unexpected. It's not going to be, because right now with the bloodline stuff, it's the biggest thing in WWE right now, hand over fist. Because Roman's the biggest thing in WWE, hand over fist. And so the fact that we have all these unknowns, and we're like 6 weeks away from Survivor Series. And so who's joining? We haven't got any glimpses. We haven't had anybody come out and help Roman, and so we're filled with so much unknowns. It's great. I don't want to know. Because realistically, the best things are unknown. Obviously, like when Cody returned, okay, yeah, that was widely, but that was kind of obvious he was coming back. Like that was a shoo-in. But like, I want us to be unknown. I want nobody to really know, when something happens. Those are the best moments in sports across any sport, whether it's WWE or baseball, basketball, football, whatever. Like those unknowns are what make things great. So like just to pipe dream a little bit here. So like who do you think is the most logical to come back to join Roman? Like whether they're on the roster right now or they're signed and not on the roster, or like kind of let your mind go wild a little bit. Like who do you think makes the most sense, or who you think is, gonna be the guy?
I'm gonna say, me personally, it's either two choices. It's either gonna be Umaga's son or one of the brother of I can't think of their names on Solo's team, because they did mention he already is signed, but Umaga's son,
I mean,
it's
there's
a
Zilla, there's
rumor. It's a
Michael.
rumor he's signed, but there's not 100% proof on that yet. But the other one, there is definitely people. Some of the wrestlers are saying he is technically signed, but keeping it down on a hush low and not say when he's going to make appearance. They just don't know when they want to have him appear. It has to be just perfect.
Yeah.
Frederick, your mic is muted.
We can't hear you.
I can't hear you. There we go. Now we can hear you.
Oh my God. That all has to get edited now. Thanks, Tim. All right. So I'm going to say we're going to get Jimmy back.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense. Yeah, we're going to get Jimmy back. Surprisingly, I think unsigned has not made or is not even known. I am going to say it's going to be Hikuleo from New Japan, and he'll get a name change.
Definitely.
But I would not be shocked with Brock Lesnar joining up with Roman Reigns, Paul Heyman, and Jimmy Uso. I would not be shocked about that.
Yeah.
That would be a very, very good thing to see, but we know the way Brock Lesnar is when he tries to team with people.
You know what?
He has that issues. But maybe he has been in a faction in the past with Big Show.
He's still a Paul Heyman guy.
Oh yeah, 100%, always.
So,
he's gonna die as a Paul Heyman guy.
I would not be surprised with that, with Brock Lesnar being the surprise. Outside of that, it's got to be someone that we haven't seen before on the roster.
So
do you think Jimmy's gonna get a nice good pop when he comes back?
I mean,
It depends on
Jimmy's gonna
how he
return.
comes back.
Yeah.
So the thing is, okay, so according to WrestleTalk.com, we have the 7 wrestlers. We have Jacob Fatu, which we already have. Juicy Finu, another. Let's see. You know,
That
we
would
got
be
him. Let's see.
he could be related to Nia Jax.
Yeah, you got Lance on Hawaii, which let's see. So I mean, honestly, it's crazy to think the depth of said bloodline.
Yeah.
I mean, it's deep. You know, and it's crazy to think who could, right? Because we don't
Because-
know.
Yeah,
And,
because
like,
it could be
the
any of them.
bloodline is so deep. Hikuleo. Yeah, so it's interesting because if you think about it, essentially the female people, like, there's Tamina, which is Jimmy Snuka's daughter. You have Nia Jax, who's someone in the mix. You have Ava from NXT, which is The Rock's daughter. You have Naomi, who is basically married into the bloodline. I always thought Naomi would join. I thought honestly the best thing for her would have been to join. I feel like her being with Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair is a joke. I don't think the fact that the caliber of talent she is and how clean of a wrestler and talented wrestler she is, you have Jade Cargill, who is still continually criticized for being stiff in the ring. Continually. Like,
You know-
multiple sources continue to critique her just not botching, not like just being very just stiff in the
Rigid.
ring. And
She's definitely rigid. However, if you put Jade around solid talent, she's gonna pick up some things. She's going to improve because it's her nature as an athlete to improve. She will. It's going to take time. Just like this business takes time for
she was
everyone.
brought in as this mega talent. That's the problem. That's the thing that gets most of us, is because she was like the greatest female signing in 2024. Like, here she comes, and then she's shit. Like, when you have expectations up here and you're playing down here, you're not living up to what we expected.
Well,
she's essentially
that's their expectations and people's perceived expectations. I'm happy that she's there and she's getting another opportunity to be in the WWE, and this time they are definitely investing in her. Putting Naomi with her from time to time in a 3-person tag group, it makes sense because it takes the emphasis and the critical eyes off of Jade, and you have 2 other people that balance that. So when Jade does come in, it's for a short little interaction, babyface, energy, and boom, the match is done.
I just think is stacked as she is, and is absolutely a specimen that she is, that we're not getting the expectation that was set when she came.
And
Now,
whose fault is setting that expectation? Whose fault is that? That's Triple H. That's Shawn Michaels. That's the marketing.
but if she's stiff in the ring, that's not on them. That's on her. Like,
it's on them for setting the expectations so high. For me, when I knew where she was and where she once was, I knew that unless they were going to send her down to NXT, there people were going to have these same criticisms. You don't stop being stiff in the ring after a conversation or a handful of matches. It takes time to learn that system. And we've talked about this before, that she should have gone and spent some more time in NXT. Maybe that would have exposed her more before they would have gotten out of her what they're investing in her.
Yeah, because that would have made sense. It's like the same thing with Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio is still a shitty fucking wrestler. Like he would have benefited being in NXT for, let's call it 6 months, really get some actual, because he sucks. And the thing is, it's because he had the things with his father, and that's why they left him there. But I realistically think it would have made more sense to have him in NXT and then join his father down the line when he was a little bit more together.
You know what? I would have even said, "Hey, Ray, I need you to go down to NXT because your experience is going to help them mature
right
at a faster rate."
Yeah.
So there's a lot of play here, but getting us back to with Naomi joining the Bloodline and feeling like her talent is lost with Jade and Bianca, I disagree that it's lost on Jade and Bianca, but there's probably a reason why she is not inside, or she's not part of the whole Bloodline thing, because she's married into the Bloodline. And so this is more, obviously.
But we never had Tamina join. I mean,
Tamina was a serious part-time wrestler, and we haven't had Nia Jax join. And supposedly there's some negativity from Nia towards Roman. So neither one of those ladies that are in WWE have joined the Bloodline. So I think this is a boys club thing. This is men doing men thing, and that's what sells. That's where we are. So for us to
so we have essentially, we have three. I think it's just three of the three women factions. We have, the Zoe Stark, the Shayna Baszler, and Sonya Deville. We have Damage Control, and then we also have this. So does it seem a little oversaturated? Because I mean, yes, it's only three, but like, where's the fourth, right? Like, because like you got to balance the books, right? Like, I feel like realistically, I mean, I guess you could say a third. I mean, a fourth, we could say Unholy Union with Blair Davenport. I think she's kind of done her due diligence to help them. So maybe we call that a fourth third party. I don't know. I really think Blair really doesn't have a place much on the main roster. It's been kind of lost, and it sucks because you get to the main roster
with a lot of people,
and they're probably getting main event, matches like on the actual show main event, or some of the other ones they have. And I think, that's okay. I think the fact that you have this exuberantly young group of wrestlers waiting in the wings to get their shot, and so
I think that they will.
I say in 10 years, WWE is going to look completely different.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
I think a lot of it, like your Braun Breaker will be a champion the next year. If he's not, it's wasted. Even though he's a secondary title, which is cool, but it's like your main caliber, top tier champion realm of wrestlers is very deep. But I could see, and I think they're on the same show. Or no, is the IC title that's on Raw? Okay.
Raw.
Yep. So I could see a Gunther Braun Breaker match. Like, if we're pipe dreaming this right now, I really think that the sheer viciousness of Braun Breaker and the viciousness of Gunther would be an absolute banger, right? And and Braun Breaker could lose, right? And that's fine. But it's like, if you give him those opportunities, he's eventually going to cash in. Because, Seth's not going to be around forever. Randy's definitely on he's got a couple years in him. 5 at the very most. John Cena's like, I don't even understand the whole thing with John Cena, right? The guy left. He's been gone for like 3 or 4 years. How can you say with a straight face that you've been wrestling for X amount of years when you've been gone for the last 2 to 3?
One match a
think
year. One match a year. That's the shtick.
I think
That's
it's absolutely
pretty
insulting.
much.
I
Yep.
think from a long-term wrestling perspective, Randy Orton is better than John Cena. He's been doing it longer than John Cena. And the fact that Randy's got 14, I still think, honestly, from a been here for a while, doing it at a high level, I got Randy Orton over John Cena. John Cena,
Well,
he was the
we also
he was
have
the
to
face.
we also have to remember, we're only so many years out of the McMahon era.
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So I would want to give it time, but I can understand wanting to, at least know we're going to get to that direction. Have some finality in a positive light for someone who, has had a long career. But I also think like the same opportunities outside of WWE have not been present for Randy Orton. But that's not to say that they won't be there
right.
or they're not that he hasn't
I
turned them
mean,
down.
if
So yeah.
if we basically go to this tier of holding championships for not as long like we did in the Vinnie Mac era, I think Randy gets to 16. I don't think anybody's going to go to 17. I really think we're going to sit, and that is the glass ceiling. I don't think anybody's going beyond 16. I think we might get a couple on that level of 16. Obviously, Triple H has 14, but he's done. Randy's still going. He still can show out. I think he gets to 16 if I'm in my mind how I want it to go. I think he gets to 16. I think we have this Mount Rushmore, of talent,
Mhm.
long, from as far as the amount of title reign, obviously Roman Reigns is I would say is on that level, but he's wrestling in a different time, than when you were the face like John Cena, where it was like you'd win it, but then you'd lose it like 3 months later, and then you'd get it back 6 months later. And like, the amount of times you had it were more important than how long you had it for.
Yeah. I think we might be past that time, like, and that's even another like question. What makes you a a champion's champion, or what makes you, someone who's worth being considered a great champion? Is it the number of times you've been beaten for that championship and then winning it back, or how long you have held that championship and how many challengers have you beaten while holding
Right.
that championship? So I mean, I think that conversation is
A whole separate monster, honestly, if you
yeah,
think of like,
definitely
because Roman beat Undertaker, but his streak was already over.
right.
So
So yeah,
it didn't mean as much for him to beat Undertaker. Like, it was like, okay, cool, you're number 2, but Brock's number 1, And
right.
so, and I think if you go down the list, I really feel like, if you look at who's John Cena has beaten everything else, it's honestly, I would say it's comparable to Randy Orton, who he's, being the youngest, world champion of all time, and being thrust into where he was, being the 3rd generation superstar that he
Mhm.
is. And he's more than proven his relevancy to the wrestling industry, because I
Right.
watched that little special called Evil or whatever, and I was watching the whole Randy Orton bit and like, where he was in the progression of his character and everything else. Like, I think John Cena is a cool story for the kids. Randy Orton is a story for the people that have overcome.
Yeah.
because Randy Orton has way more depth to his character than John Cena does. John Cena is just the whole whatever he freaking does, and he John Cena's for the kids, Randy Orton's for the men. Just because he has more depth to his story than John Cena does.
I would
I totally agree.
yeah, I wouldn't like separate it like that. I think there's something to enjoy for everyone with both of their stories. Well, however, I get it. I do get it. It's just it makes for me. I would like to see them be on par with each other because at one particular time that was the rivalry in WWE.
I mean, yeah, there's been hundreds of rivalries.
When we talk about rivalries, we're talking about we're talking Stone Cold and The Rock. We're talking, if we want to jump back a little bit further, we're talking Roddy Piper versus everyone at some particular time. We're
Shawn
talking
Michaels
about
and Bret Hart.
Yep, Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. Bret Hart versus Vince.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and that's just the longevity of WWE and creating such interesting, because it's like on the surface, like obviously, okay, we're all just wrestlers on this roster, but like to really make an evil character as the thing on special on Peacock goes, it's like you have to be able to piss people off. And I think the Miz pisses people off and he loved it. Like the Miz was one of the best people to even the locker room hated him. Like, but the thing is, but like when you learn to embrace that, like you're one of the greatest heels of all times. Like, Dominic Mysterio, he's hated. But guess what? That's fucking awesome for him. Because it's like you love me or you hate me. And clearly you hate me. And I'm gonna wring that chamois for all it's worth.
Right.
Does Dominic ever turn face? I don't know.
No.
Give me 5 years. Give me 5 years. But like as of now, he's a lovable, hated person with his stupid mustache and
his porno mustache.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
I like what his dad said.
Oh my gosh, dude, Rey Mysterio is a G. Like when I forgot exactly what he said to him, but it was just like he just like Rey Mysterio just let loose. Like you just opened that can and he just literally just calling him all kinds of names and calling him stupid and all this other stuff. And like Rey Mysterio will always be the ultimate underdog. But man, like from a mic standpoint, like he really was kind of pretty back in the day. But I feel like now that Dominic's here, like he's unleashing his mic skills at a different level because he knows everything. I'm your dad, bitch. Like I know everything.
Yep.
And when you get to unleash all that frustration, you're like, yep, all right, well, here it comes. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, no, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan. It really is.
Yeah.
I think we're in this era of uncertainty and fuck around and find out. And you're getting people basically getting receipts. We're getting the Judgment Day faction that seems to be on Judgment Day 3.0 now. And so you have the Bloodline 2.0. We're about to get a Bloodline like OG, not even a 3.0, but just like the OG. I think we're going to get the original. I really think that in my heart of hearts, I feel like as much as I love what Jay's doing by himself and what Sammy's doing with Jay and by himself, it still would be pure euphoria to have Jimmy and Jay and Sammy face off with Bloodline 2.0. I think
I
that
think that is something that we'll get. I don't know how it's going to go down, but I think that is something that we definitely will get. And it's just levels and layers, to be able to pull off this type of intrigue, you know, you know. At the start of the segment, we was talking about, who do we want to see in the bloodline. Then we were like talking about, well, why aren't the women in the bloodline? And then we started pontificating and chit chatting about, rivalries and Randy Orton. Now we're back to talking about, you know, ultimately who we really want to see in the bloodline. We want to see OG bloodline versus this new version of the bloodline. So kudos to them. Hey, they're
in
telling stories and
so
making it work.
randomness fun facts. Next Sunday is my birthday.
All right, so happy birthday.
He's
So
gonna be old.
yeah, almost. It'll be next week.
Hmm.
Okay, Tim, I'm in the middle. Okay, you're the youngest. I'm the middle, and Frederick's the oldest. Okay, let's.
You know what? Don't remind me.
They call me mini. So they've. So I'm looking at the match card for tomorrow. It just seems like they're already stacked up. So you have the IC number one contender tournament, Ludwig versus Sheamus and Bronson Reed. Pretty sure Bronson Reed's gonna win that, but
Sheamus better win it.
he needs his IC to complete his thing. That's all I care
Yeah.
about. I want Sheamus to get
Same
his.
here.
And so you have the other number one contender, Dominic versus Ilya Dragunov and Dragon Lee. I don't really care. I just want Sheamus to win and have his full circle moment and finally get to be Grand Slam champion. It has been a damn decade. And then it says, see, this is the thing that drives me nuts. So women's tag championship number one contenders match. The last champions versus Damage Control. Like, way to just like not even have any like the fact that the women's tag division is so bleak. They already are putting the last champions in the match versus Damage Control, which I don't even care who wins that. And so now you have, which seems like a waste of space, American Made, Julius Creed, Brutus Creed, and Ivy Nile versus Otis, Akira Tozawa, and Maxine Dupree. Let's just run back that mess again.
You know what? I think we should run that back because we're getting some mid carders that need some time to
And I don't think that this is going to be a straight up match. I don't think we're going to get any Wyatt Six involvement. But then again, maybe we are. Who knows? Because they essentially have been going like twice a month.
Mhm.
But I think that Ivy Nile is going to get beat up by freaking what's her name?
Yep, that chick. Yep.
Yeah, she doesn't even deserve to be.
Nope.
But
sure doesn't.
I thought it was a great match with, Uncle Howdy last week. I feel it was a straight up match. It wasn't as, okay, one sided, blah blah. But, yeah. So I mean, that's already like 5 matches on the card of a 3-hour show. So that means about 3 other matches that are not announced. They'll probably be one of
There
those.
probably will only be like 5 matches. The rest will just be
Well, no,
off-screen
actually, you know what?
entertainment.
Actually, there's only 4 because the other one
Yeah, that
listed
seems
it
about a Raw.
as a celebration for. Like, I don't care. Like, let's have a celebration for them winning the tag team titles back. So yeah, only 4. So like, and the thing is, what's so funny is that like, so they've already announced these matches, right? So there's no backstage segment that's gonna be like, oh my gosh, this match is gonna happen, right? When you release the matches, you're like less inclined to be like, oh, I'll face you tonight. Well, no shit, it's already on the card. Like, Like they should never release anything. I want them to be completely fucking silent on what they release so the matches don't look so drawn up, right? You know,
Mm,
because they always have a backstage segment. Like, I'm gonna predict this, right? I'm just gonna throw this one to the wolves, but like, there's gonna be in the beginning of the show, let's say Jaden, whatever they have their celebration thing, and then all of a sudden the other two that are gonna have a match, probably first, are gonna interrupt that, and then they're gonna sit ringside and talk about the damage control and on a whole union match. That's the first match. I'm just calling it just for S&Gs, just for my own hype of being able to predict that's going to happen. It's going to be the first. And the thing is, like, cool, you won the titles back. Congratulations. Don't need a celebration. You can sit back and pop some bubbly. I don't care. Like, I don't need a segment to see you celebrating with balloons and shit. I would rather see Nia Jax have the freaking what are those stupid guys?
mm.
Pretty Deadly. I would rather prefer to hear their musical than to have people that just won the title for the second time come out and celebrate it. No one cares. I want to see
You
Pretty.
know,
I want to see
that's
Pretty
got to
Deadly the
lead
musical.
in. That celebration's got to lead into like another like storyline, another feud or something like that. It because you're right.
They've already
It just
listed the
it just
match.
doesn't make sense, you know, because they don't come off as being like an arrogant group. You know what I'm saying? An arrogant entitled group. So it's got to be a lead in for something else, and they want to make it dramatic enough that people will pay attention.
I mean, yeah, that's because they want things to happen in the ring. It's more entertaining
Yeah.
than the segments that seem like they were literally taped. But
Yeah, like boring 10, 15-minute little talk in the back.
yeah, I mean, I
Which
think
could
I
be
think
fine.
there'll be about 7 to 8 matches tops. Probably 6.
You're you know what? If we get 6 matches, then
I'll say 6.
we're winning that night. At that particular point, that means that there's
Now,
less out of the ring stuff.
so now, do you agree with this conclusion that Cody Rhodes is a Raw champion on SmackDown because he does not fit in on the top of the bill in SmackDown because there's more going on that doesn't include him?
I could see that.
Yeah, that does make sense because
He doesn't give off that vibe of like an absolute dominant champion.
He's
He doesn't
overshadowed by
get
Roman Reigns in the bloodline.
he doesn't get that vibe off
yeah.
of as like a SmackDown superstar.
It, like I said, like we've all said a million times, it was more about the journey than the destination with Cody Rhodes. I'm over Cody Rhodes already. Like it was cool. I bought some of your merch, cool beans, but like I don't buy you anymore. I'm selling you because it was more about getting the championship than holding it because his matches are subpar. Like, we all know he's going to hold on to the title. We're going to hold on to the title till freaking WrestleMania. We're going to have all these lackluster matches that we all know end the same. You know, we're going to get, you know,
we're gonna get that Roman
I
versus
just wanna
Cody
know-
at WrestleMania.
I just want to know who faces Cody at WrestleMania. Like, because we have like multiple segues we could go with to who faces
I think he
him
will have
WrestleMania.
dropped that title by then. I don't think he's going to be champion by WrestleMania. As a matter of
Who
fact,
knows?
I would not
I
be
don't think
surprised.
he is, but I feel like
I would not be
that's the
surprised
cookbook.
if he drops that championship to The Rock or to John Cena. I wouldn't be surprised either way.
I mean, I don't think I think John Cena is going to have a bunch of like matches that were dream matches. None of them are going to be for titles. They're just going to be good matches. They're going to be nostalgic matches. His farewell tour is not going to be one where he holds a title because we know the end game of him in 2025 being that's it. So I don't think he's wrestling a single match for a title, or if he does, he's not winning it.
I see him wrestling more superstars from like freaking Raw than SmackDown.
I mean, it could go either
Maybe
way.
he might pick a wrestler, maybe a decent good one from NXT.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't do a stint in NXT.
I mean, that wouldn't be a bad thing. I mean, it's let's say he faces, I like the guy, but Ethan Page. I
Mm.
mean, they never faced off. I mean, I feel like this farewell tour is going to be a lot of firsts.
I don't think Ethan Page needs the rub as much as someone like a Trick Williams, someone like.
But I mean, his whole thing is all ego. So if he beats the GOAT, that's going to add to the ego.
I don't
Like, he doesn't need it,
I don't
but,
see
like-
Ethan Page being like a Raw, like a main eventer, like being on the main roster. I don't.
Yeah.
Ethan Page has nothing more than NXT energy for me, and
I mean,
maybe I'm being worked by his character, but
I mean, that's
yeah,
I mean, but,
if
like,
you
I mean,
think
didn't
people get lost on the main roster, Ethan Page gets lost on the main roster, and he gets handled by the Miz. I'm just
I
saying
love
it.
me some Miz, but yeah, I'm a Miz guy. I don't even care, dude. I absolutely love everything the Miz is, but especially after watching the special too, like just the whole story of him, like, and just it's awesome. It really is. I hate to use the catchphrase, but like, I think when you come out, because you're just some reality TV star, like, and this is like way back reality TV. This isn't Logan Paul reality TV. Like, this is like from a goofy show that he just all of a sudden started calling himself the Miz, and he was just all of a sudden this character, and
Yeah,
it
I
just
remember
like,
watching him on MTV's The Real World, and
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's that. I've been a fan of the Miz since the Real World.
I don't believe I liked the Miz then, and I know I am not a Miz fan now. However, that is the character, the human behind the work. I can appreciate his ability to be in that position, but that doesn't mean that I'm a fan. It just means that I appreciate the effort and the work you put in to be in that position. Do I think that there are others who have earned it more, but who are trapped in the role that they play? Absolutely. And I'm talking about R-Truth. 100%. I think it is one of the biggest crimes the WWE is committed with R-Truth, is him not being a world champion.
I
And
mean, I definitely would agree with that. I feel like
Yeah.
he's put in the work
not only has he put in the work, he has the in-ring ability, especially when he's allowed to not be this stooge. I would want to see him with a championship run, just like I enjoyed seeing Kofi and Big E with a championship run. Like, I could see Xavier Woods getting opportunities to be that guy, even though he may not get it. I can see him getting that opportunity, just like I see Trick Williams being a world champion. More so than I see Carmelo Hayes. I see
I mean, if
Andrade,
you're talking like a larger than life superstar, yeah, I mean, it anybody can work in NXT because there's not an exuberant amount of talent that are tall.
Mhm.
And, and they're tall in stature and they're absolutely ripped. Yeah, I can definitely buy into Trick Williams, but the only hiccup is that if and when, we'll say, he gets to the main roster, like, where is he going to fit in to be there for, let's say, a year before he gets his first title shot? Like, do you think
You
they're
know
going
what?
to misuse him?
Of course, of course, of course, and it's because there's this stumbling that WWE does, and a lot of wrestling promotions do, when they're trying to put someone who is not the status quo into that leadership role. Like Andrade should be a world champion. He should have Gunther's championship.
Oh,
I
100%.
believe, yeah,
They've definitely missed big time with Andrade. Like, his whole thing, I mean, Elilo, whatever is how you pronounce it, but like he just has that presence where like he can throw hands and he can wrestle, but they've put him in the most stupid position, being the speed champion. And now like they're like, as opposed to bringing a women's secondary title, let's make another WWE speed champion on the women's side of it. What a freaking waste.
it
Like,
is.
what
It
an
is.
absolute
And
waste.
it's such a cluster, and a lot of it has to do with the marketing and advertising of this company, that they want those dollars because they're easily achievable. The investments that it takes to make an athlete a WWE superstar and then be marketable and to get people engaged into what they're doing on TV is more in resource intensive financially, in my opinion, than it is to go out and say, like, hey, we've got a pitch for a TV show. Do you like it? Yeah, well, this is how much it's going to cost, and we'll make a new champion, and blah blah blah. No, look at Tegan Knox. She should be doing something, if she's ready to go. Natalia should be doing something and be a champion, and she's not. So,
It just sucks when
you
they
know,
bring him to the main roster and then they just get lost.
right? And then they're lost for a while, and then it's just like, well, you're
Well,
not
then
doing
they
the numbers that we thought you would do, and blah blah blah. And it's like, so you want to repackage them to do something to get over. It seems like every athlete or every performer is like this product that this big marketing company is trying to get you to buy into as a consumer, instead of, hey, we want to help develop you and your work rate so you can have these amazing matches. Let us get you the right story or vehicle so you can go with it. You know, it took Cody Rhodes leaving the company, doing his thing, reinventing himself, and coming back in order for him to get this run. He probably won't ever get this type of run again, right? So they want to try to market it and milk it for as much as it's worth, because you only get like one or two shots with WWE superstars in this era, in my opinion. So there's going to be a lot of missteps with a lot of really solid athletes and performers that can do this craft and do this work and be really entertaining and engaging when we watch them and we pay our dollars to see them, and we're like hyped about their character and who they are, and we get invested in them. That investment doesn't last for like 2 or 3 minutes or whatever have you, is whatever it takes to make a transaction. It stays with you for a long time. I for one am a really big Sting fan. I don't I obviously don't wear a lot of his merch, or I don't buy a lot of his merch or own a lot of it, but like when he comes on TV, I'm like, hey, I got to see what this dude is up to. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people who feel that exact way about, you know, Vader, or, um, Booker T, or, some of the other legends, and, working legends and icons. So when you see a wrestler and you get attached to them, and then they're like up, and then, you know, you're just kind of like, what are they going to do with him now? Like, we watched this incredible take on the immediate misuse of Ricochet, being moved to, going to another company and leaving WWE. And we all agreed that, wow, what an absolute accurate description of how to misuse someone out of the first shot. And WWE has done that consistently with a lot of performers that we are attracted to, that we like. And then they give us the same thing, just in a shinier new package. Like, it would take some effort, but we could figure out, from the WWE cookbook that we keep mentioning, how to make a Gunther based upon these other performers that have come before him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We can look at, like, some elements of, like, 90s Ric Flair when he was in WWE. We can look at, oh goodness. The wrestler that keeps coming to my mind is Don Morocco. But I can't remember, like, a lot of key points to his character. But I digress. So yeah, it's how do you get past someone who doesn't look like the status quo and making them the new status quo, the new, yeah, let me gravitate to this person. So you've got young men in like Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes. You've got, incredible, wrestlers like Andrade. And Gunther, not to take anything away from Gunther, Gunther is an incredible wrestler, and he's really transformed himself. It's just, when do you look outside of that and say, yeah, we're gonna run with you, R-Truth, and this is how we're gonna do it. Hey, Sheldon Benjamin, we want to bring you back for this and potentially have you participate in, a world title run of some sort. Yeah, we'll always have the Samoan dynasty. We will always have a bloodline in the WWE, but that does not mean you, like, misuse everyone else on your roster to make them look important. Like, we all can agree that Bloodline 2.0 has been, sour milk, for all of us. It's just kind of like, and then when Roman comes back, it's just like, oh, he was right. We did miss him, you know. So I ramble and say all of this because I'm not a Miz guy.
All in all, huh?
I'm
You
not a Miz
said
guy.
all that.
Just to say I'm not a Miz guy. But I can respect the work that he's done. But I'm not a Miz guy. Also, R-Truth for everything.
Yeah.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
mean, what kind of, I think honestly this is a good pin. Frederick said his piece. We have let him say his piece.
I appreciate it. You too. For just,
I mean, honestly, I was on WWE Shop, so I wasn't even looking, so I was just listening to you. But
you know what? That's fair. I would have too. It's a talking head moment.
Yeah, so again, we have those 4-ish matches already on the card for Raw. Obviously, we'll get a couple more that'll probably develop over the night. I really don't know what the main event's going to be, honestly. Yeah, I mean, with the 4 matches that they've given, doesn't seem like main event caliber, but we'll see. Wait and see. It's my new catchphrase. Wait and see.
Wait and see. That's what you're going with.
Yep, wait and see.
All right.
I mean, it could be worse.
No,
know.
I don't think so.
Dogging on my catchphrase. I feel it. What's your
Yeah.
catchphrase?
True as shit.
Jewish shit.
All I heard was
Oh,
he's Jewish
God.
as shit.
True
your yarmulke?
as shit.
Oh, I thought you said
Nope.
Jewish.
I like
shit.
Jewish. I like Jewish as shit. So that is not you. Nope. You
Oh,
no
God.
more.
We've got to edit this now. Shit.
Nope. This is going on it, baby.
I said
You
true
heard
as
it now
shit.
from Frederick. He is Jewish as shit. Yes. This is how we're going to end it. I hope you all enjoyed that. And I hope you enjoy the
Enjoy your Jewish shit.
We are
All right,
so
this is the Lockdown
editing this.
Podcast.
Dude says Jewish shit.